with us who specifically focuses and believes in human ingenuity, technology stewardship, and ecological sustainability. He has experience when it comes to data, insights, digital product executive with 18 years of experience when it comes to global consulting. He recently founded his own company specifically and is the founder of Bloom AI, which is a company that uses technology and takes it to the next level. Let's welcome Amit on 10 Minutes of Hiring Wisdom, where he will tell us about what his company is about, whether he's hiring or not, and whether his company is growing and why would you want to work with his company specifically. Hi Amit, how are you
Hey, I'm
doing?
doing well, man. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for joining us,
My
Amit.
pleasure.
So Amit, can you tell us about your experience? How is it like leading your own company and just your journey so far to Bloom AI
Yeah,
specifically?
sure. I'm born and raised in India. I studied there and joined a young professional services consulting firm back in 2004. It was a small outfit at the time, but started by some very capable people. So grew with that, worked for the first 5 years in India and for the last 12 years here in the US. Had several sort of mini professional journeys in that company. So, started as a data analyst, but went on to set up their US headquarters, build products, run a P&L, become member of the executive team. So I pretty much spent my career with one firm for 17 years. But as I was going through that journey, um, I come from a family of entrepreneurs. My mom was a five-time entrepreneur. My dad was a two-time
Oh
entrepreneur.
wow.
So
Love it. Female empowerment. Love it.
absolutely, and she had tough times. So um, I guess somewhere I was DNA'd to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to be one since I was 22. So I had some ideas, and I said, okay, I really want to. Now is the time to do it. So I quit my job at the peak of the pandemic and decided to build Bloom AI. So we're a very young startup. We've only been in the market for 7 months right now, and yeah, very excited to be building what we are building basically.
Okay. So my first question would be you mentioned that you worked with a company for 17 years. Of course, 17 years is a lot of time, Amit. And I'm just curious to see why you decided to work for a company for 17 years because I think these days companies are finding it so hard to retain
Hmm.
talent because people have so many opportunities that they look for the best next offer. So what caused you to stay for a company with a company for 17 years? Like what were some of the factors that you considered you were like, okay, this is where I can see myself working for quite a
Mm.
while?
It doesn't happen that way. That you kind of I never planned it to be in this way, but I think two or three things went into it. One, I was working with some really fantastic people and on some very fantastic problems, right? So I think that combination of working with the right set of people and the right set of problem statements makes your journey so much more enjoyable. So in many ways it didn't feel like 17 years being in one place, right? I think it's only after the fact that I realized, oh, I was there for that long, right? So I think the people, the culture, the problems you get to solve, that's one. Two, I think I was a bit fortunate, I have to say, that while I was in one job for like 17 years, I was not doing anything similar for more than 2, maybe 3 years, right? So, like I said, I had sort of mini
Wow.
journeys in that company. I got to build products, I got to build solutions, I got to build teams, I got to build offices. So, for me, I was always building something. So, I was kind of like an entrepreneur for a very, very long time until I decided to do my own things. But I think, growth and culture, I would say, would sort of were definitely sort of key components of why I stayed there for like 17 years, I guess.
Okay, that makes sense. And where did the inspiration for Bloom MI come from? Like, I understand you come from a family filled with entrepreneurship and everything, but where did the idea come from for specifically a company called Bloom AI? And can you tell us more about what the
Yeah.
company does?
So the idea somehow had been brewing in my head for a little while, and most of my career I've worked with financial services clients, the Wall Street of America, if you will. And it was amazing to go and see all these clients and see them um, deal with so much complexity around data every day, right? And they're using people, they're using technology to solve all those problems, but at fundamentally you have to ask them, are they even solving it in the right way? Is there a better way to solve that problem? So I think part of the idea was serendipitous, and part of it was kind of more purposefully thought through. But there are so many ideas all around you if you're looking to it. So we basically came up with the concept that, or at least I came up with the concept that we want to build a Fitbit for enterprise intelligence, right? That was basically became the vision and the mission from the get go, right? So what that really meant was, our human body is complex, and Fitbit sort of made our life really easy to track our health. Organizations are complex, but there should be simpler ways to solve problems around data and around sort of data complexity, especially now with cloud and technology that is available. So that was, I would say, the core genesis of really sort of, I was still problem solving in my head until the idea became more real, right? Basically, as I started working through it.
Okay, and when did you realize that, okay, the idea has reached a stage where I can actually start implementing it? Because I think for most of us, when we think of something, we constantly just iterate, constantly like add
Mm.
ideas, and then we just stop there. We don't actually go to the implementation phase. So when did you realize that, okay, I can actually convert my idea into reality? Like, what was the trigger that caused you to start that
Yeah, the
journey?
trigger was, like, I think it was conceptually, it was at a point of fruition that it had to become physical, like, I mean, or digital. Nowadays everything is digital. So, I think, a lot of why we're not able to implement is our own intellectual barrier, basically, right? If I kept thinking, oh, I was an executive at a large firm, what are my clients going to expect from a product? Like, this should be like a top notch product. I would probably never be able to go to market, basically, right? I mean, because that's such a high barrier to cross on, your own intellectual sort of capability. So, you basically get around with smart people and say, hey guys, this is the idea. How do we take it to market? And you start making the idea more practical, right? So you think long term, but execute short term, right? And as we went through it, I started somewhat in January. So MVP 1 by March, MVP 2 by May, and now we are in market, right? So it was, I think, those sort of micro milestones basically that helped us just going where we were, basically. So, and I reduced my own intellectual barriers quite a bit to say, I think what we have is good. It's never going to be perfect. So let's just go out there and start, talking to clients.
That makes sense. I think the hardest part is because everything inside your
Oh
head,
my
you
God.
just want it to be spick and span, all to the
Uh,
perfection, and you're just like, I can constantly make it better. But I think realizing that, okay, everything cannot be perfect, there's always going to be room for improvement, is something that you have to finally accept, which pushed you through the
yeah.
actual stage. So I'm glad it worked out for you. And then, Amit, I'd love to hear, because the pandemic changed the way people hire, changed the way people work, changed the way people actually look at global hiring. What are your thoughts on global hiring? And just specifically, what are some of the challenges that you think would come up, especially hiring a remote global
Yeah,
workforce?
it's if somebody asked me, like, actually, people did ask me about what is your biggest problem doing the startup, right? And I remember telling people not having a co-founder, not having enough money, not knowing if I have a product market fit, and come to find out, actually, the biggest challenge of this all is people. You know, it was none of the things I anticipated. It's all things I did not anticipate, which is people, right? And if you think about it, I started a company in COVID, and I built a team of 12 that I have right now, where I've basically seen as much as you can see me and I can see you, right? That's all what they know of me, and I know of them in pandemic, right? So I think definitely challenges, but definitely opportunities as well. I think it makes the world a lot more flatter, a lot more linear. So I think opportunities. I think discoverability has become more difficult. People are also anxious, right? I mean, they don't know, should they move a job, should they not move a job. As a startup with no financial backing, hiring the first 4 or 5 people was the toughest part, because I had to download my vision through a computer into their head and sort of convince them that this is something real. So we went through that journey, and I think, with every hire it starts becoming easier, right? So, and I think this has come to be the reality for the times to come. In some ways, I do really hope physical interactions go up, but who knows?
Okay, well, definitely. I mean, you did a good job convincing people, because now you have a team of 12, and I hope your team continues to grow, because I can definitely see that you would be a very inspiring
Thanks.
leader. But other than that, Amit, our time is up. It was an absolute pleasure having you as a guest, learning about you, your journey, about your wonderful family's entrepreneur background, and how
Okay.
things turned out for
Thank you
you.
so
Thank you
much,
so much
Mima.
for
Have a
joining
great
us
day.
today.